What is going on, guys, and welcome to Web Agency Project. In this project, we're going to be building a responsive web agency website. But this project is going to be interesting for two main reasons. First, we're not going to be using any kind of CSS framework, right? So something like Bootstrap or anything like that. Everything is going to get done with HTML and a lot of CSS. Now, the second one, for the layout, we're not going to be using any kind of CSS floats or any kind of CSS hacks. We're actually going to get done by using CSS grid and CSS flexbox, right? So this is going to be good training for us to get to know them, right? Now, what we're going to be building. Well, here you can see that this is going to be our navbar, right? And like I said, this is going to be responsive. So if I'm going to be making a screen smaller, right? So this would be a mobile view, right? Or here you can see that our navbar is going to be over here. Now this button is not going to be working. This font awesome, because obviously we're not going to be using JavaScript. It's only going to be a HTML, CSS, and font awesome that we're going to be using. And over here, if I make the screen bigger, you can see how our navbar is actually wrapping, right? So we're going to be using a flexbox wrap property. Then we're going to be creating a banner, right? So this is going to be our heading 1. Then we're going to have 2 buttons, right, as we're hovering. Then the next section is going to be our skills section, right? And you can see that it's going to look exactly like we would be using Bootstrap, right? So again, if I'm going to make the screen smaller, now you can see that it changes to the 2 columns. Then over here, this is going to change to actually single column, right? And you can see that, again, this is going to be font awesome, this is going to be heading 1, and this is going to be paragraph. So again, I'm going to make the screen bigger, and we're going to check out the next section that we're going to be creating. So the next section we're going to be creating is going to be services section, right? And again, for the whole layout, there's going to be CSS grid in use, right? And over here, we're going to achieve this effect by using CSS, right? So as you can see, as I'm hovering, actually the text is changing, right? There's going to be some background text, and the text that it's up front is actually moving up, right? Now, what we're also going to be doing over here is, you can see as I'm changing, right? It's going to be hard to see right now, but actually we're going to change the order of these let's say boxes, right? So we have 4 boxes, and actually on a bigger screen, the actual order is different, right? So you could look at CSS grid order property, right? Then we're gonna have a project section, right? Where we're gonna just look at how to actually zoom in, right, with CSS. And over here, you can see that we're gonna have in the background, right? So we're gonna have a footer over here, and this is gonna be, let's say, our main section, right? Our title. And again, if I make it bigger, there's going to be 3 of them, right? 3 project sections, right? And over here, if I'm going to make it to the smaller one, again, we're going to go to the 2 columns. And then once we actually hit the small screen, right, we're going to have only single column over here, right? And then after that, what we're going to be doing, right, we have over here, this little filler section, right? Again, we're going to be using a CSS flexbox in order to get this effect, right? So they're side by side. And again, if I make it to the smaller screen, actually what's going to happen, they're going to wrap, right? So as you can see, the moment they hit each other, actually this one wraps underneath the second one, right? Then we're going to have a recent post section, right? Where we're just going to be using a very basic CSS, right? We're going to have this font awesome up here out of nowhere, right? But this is, we're going to be working with the cards, right? So you can see that we're going to use the CSS to actually make this card look like effect, right? And again, this is not Bootstrap, this is just pure CSS, right? And the last over here is going to be a footer section, right? We're just going to mess around a little bit with these font awesome icons, right? So enough of me yapping, let's go to coding and let's start creating this project. And the first thing that we need to do is we need to do our setup, right? So over here, you can see that I'm sitting in my desktop, and I'm going to just create a folder over here. And I'm going to say this is going to be agency, and I'm using the brackets text editor. So the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag over here this folder, right? And right away, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to say this is going to be index HTML, right? And once I have the HTML over here, I'm just going to create a live preview, right? So we can see it better, and I'm just going to put them side by side, right? So now I have live preview, and I have my index HTML, right? Then another new file right away I can create is going to be main CSS, where we're going to be doing all our styling, right? And then obviously over here we need a HTML skeleton, right? So I'm just going to be using brackets extensions, but you can obviously write it or get it yourself or something like that, right? So here I'm just going to go with the basic one, right? with a basic meta tags, and over here we can just put the language is going to be English, right? But over here we're just going to say that this is going to be title web agency, right? And you can see that I messed up, that I'm actually creating this in main CSS. So I apologize for that. That was purely on me, right? So we can just cut this one out and go back to index HTML where we should be creating this, right? Now we have the index HTML and with the title of web agency, right? And then we right away need in our head tag, right? We need few things, right? First is going to be a Google Fonts. Then we're going to have a font awesome, right? This is what we also are going to need, font awesome over here. And then it's going to be our main CSS, right? So again, another comment, I'm going to say main CSS, right? And we can just start with this one. We're just going to create a link to our main CSS, right? And now that we're connected, we can actually go ahead and to Google, right? To actual web browser and get our Google fonts, right? So we're going to go back over here. I'm just going to maximize this one, and you can see the first thing that I have Google fonts, right? So we obviously can Google it, or I mean, just type it right away, Google fonts, and we go over here. And for those of you who don't know, right? So this is, you can pick over here the fonts, whatever you would like. And over here, you can see that you can have a different preferences, right? You have more specific, right? You can have a bigger thickness font or something like that, right? So over here, I'm just going to be using right away Roboto, right? Because that's my favorite one. So over here, I just add a plus, and then I see what I would need to do, right? So here, what they say is get this link over here like this. And then obviously this is where we would need a font family, right? So we're going to go back to our document, and I'm just going to paste this. And if we save this index HTML, and over here, I'm just going to say for the body, we're going to create a rule, right? And we're just going to copy this font family, right? Over here like this. I'm going to say copy, and we're going to paste it over here. And once we're done with this, and then once we're done with Google Fonts, the next one would be Font Awesome, right? So we can close this guy over here. And over here, you can see right away that they're offering us to download, right? And we're actually going to do that, right? Just to get it out of the way. And they're offering you some extra things, but we're just going to say we don't want that. We're just going to say no thanks, just download Font Awesome over here. And you can see that for the getting started, right? And icons. So obviously we're going to be checking out the icons once we're working, right? But if you want on your own, you can go and see over here where the Font Awesome icons are. But we're just going to look at getting started, what we would need to do, right? So if we're downloading, right, only thing they're asking over here is the path. And over here, they're saying if we're using SAS or less, right? Well, we're going to be downloading, so we're just going to, what we need to show is the actual path to Font Awesome in CSS, right? So if we go back, and I'm just going to go to my downloads over here, this is going to be my Font Awesome, right? So I'm just going to open this guy over here, and then I just need to get this folder all the way over here, right? So I'm going to get it over here, and once it's over here, then I can go back to my document over here and index HTML, and for the Font Awesome, I'm just going to say that this is going to be a link, right? And once I'll have a link, I'm just going to say this is going to be Font Awesome, then I want CSS, and then I want a awesome in CSS, right? And just to test it out, let's go ahead and let's create a Font Awesome icon, and I'm going to say far home, and let's make it like 5 times bigger, right? So press tab, and you can see that now we have our Font Awesome icon, right? So everything is working. So we can just delete this guy right now over here. And if we go back and see what else we need to do, right? So over here, I'm just going to click this close, right? And over here, you can see the colors, right? So if you're struggling with colors like I am, right? This is a very good site, this colors.co over here. And what we can do is just press over here and we can start generating the colors, right? So you can see that it's going to maybe take a little bit, right? But once we press spacebar, right? Or you can see that we have options, right? For the colors. And I really strongly suggest this for anybody who's really struggling to pick colors, right? Because this is a really good option. And obviously you just write down the colors, what you would want, get them to your document, and you can start working, right? And this is a really nice choice. And over here, if you want, you can lock this color, and you can see the rest of them are changing. So this is a very, very good place to find your colors. Now, after that, what we would want is images, right? Now, in the beginning of the next video, you're obviously going to see what kind of images I have. But there's three sites that I couldn't suggest more, which is Pexels, right? Then we have a Unsplash, and over here we have Gradistography, right? So again, all of them are good, all of them high quality, free images, right? So just go ahead, download whatever you would like for your project, right? And let's start cracking. And in the next video, I'm going to show you the specific setup there. And for this project, I'm going to be using 7 images. I'm going to be using over here this one. Then I'll have this background over here. This is going to be current projects. This is going to be for the project. Then we're going to have for the filler. Then we're going to have a services over here. And this is going to be it, right? And everything else is pretty much the same like we already did. Now, the only thing that extra that I did over here, you can see that we're going to have a small screen, right? So we can right away see for the mobile view. And over here, we have a theme that actually we're going to be creating, right? And this is the live one that we're actually working on, right? So wherever we're going to work, we're going to do over here, we're going to be able to see. And this is already the finished website, right? So we can check it out whether we did everything correctly. And the first thing that we need to do is over here, create this nav bar, right? So let's go ahead. And let's go over here to the body section over here, and I'm just going to create a little bit more room so you can see better what's happening, right? We can make this one smaller because we're either way going to be using this for the mobile view. And over here, what I'm going to say that this is going to be a comment. I'm going to say this is going to be nav. Now, once we have the nav, I'm just going to say this is going to be nav element. And over here, this is going to be an order list. And this is going to be list item. And in the list item, we're going to have a href, right? So over here, I'm going to say this is going to be link over here like this. And this is going to be dummy link over here. But for the first one, I'm going to actually add a class. And I'm going to say that the class is going to be logo, right? Because we're going to style this one a little bit differently. And over here, we're going to say this is going to be web agency. And over here, this is also going to have a font awesome, right? So I'm going to say this is going to be I, FA, and we're going to say arrow over here down, right? So this is going to be our font awesome, right? So we have our first one, and for some reason the agency went in, which is we didn't want over here. So what we're going to do is over here, we're going to write agency, right? Agency. And then over here, we just need to write I, right? So apologize for that. And now we have web agency, and now we have arrow down, font awesome, right? And then we need another few links, right? So total we would have 6, so we would need 5 more. So what I'm going to do over here, I'm just going to copy this guy, but I'm just going to delete this font awesome because I don't need it. I just need it for the first one. So if I delete this, and instead of web agency, I'm going to say that this is going to be a, actually, let's say this is not also going to have a logo, right? So this is not going to be a class of logo, and this is just going to be home, right? So over here, we're going to write this is going to be home. And then we're going to copy this guy, and we're going to have skills, services, portfolio. Now let's just copy this line over here like this. We're going to say 1, 2, 3 over here and 4, right? So we'll have home, skills, services, portfolio, and work, right? So here we're going to write this is going to be skills. Then over here, this is going to be services. Right, so we're going to say this is going to be services, and this is going to be over here instead of home, it's going to be portfolio. And then we need one more, so let's grab over here and just copy this guy, and we're going to say this is going to be work. All right, so we're going to go back over here. We're going to let's maybe use a beautify, right, to make it look a little bit better, right? So they look a little bit nicer. And now that we have the links, we're obviously going to go to main CSS and start styling over here, right? So if we go back to main CSS, the first thing though that I'm going to do is I'm just going to write down the colors that I'm going to be using, right? And I'm going to be making a comment. So over here, I'm just going to say that for a black, over here, I'm just going to say this is going to be black, and this is going to be 1716 over here. And then we would need to copy this 3 times, 1, 2, 3. And over here, we're going to write that this is going to be for the white one, white. And for the white one is going to be a little bit different, right? Obviously, E. And then we're going to have 0, E. And then we'll have 2 dB, right? Then the next one is going to be yellow. Over here we're going to write yellow, and for the yellow we're going to be using a E6, sorry, hashtag E6. Then we're going to have AF, and then we're going to have 2E, right? And then we're going to have a gray one. So we're going to go back over here. We're going to say gray, and the gray one is going to be BEB. So BEB, and then we're going to have 7A4. 7A4. Now that we have the colors written down, the first rule that we're going to be creating is going to be for the whole document, right? We're going to say that this is going to have a margin of 0, right? So all the elements initially, right? Margin 0, padding 0, padding 0. And over here, we're going to say that this is going to be a box sizing. And over here, we're going to say box sizing is going to be border box, right? So over here like this. And then when we have for the whole document, we can actually start styling the nav, right? So over here, I'm just going to put the body, and here I'm going to write a comment that this is going to be nav. And what was going to be the first rule for the nav? I'm just going to say this is going to be nav UL, right? And over list style type none, right? None over here. Then we're going to have a border top, and over here we're going to have a yellow one, right? So I'm going to say 6 pixels, solid over here, and we're going to use the yellow one, right? So we can just write it, or we can just copy this one. It's obviously going to be a little bit faster. So we just go over here, copy this, and go over here, and we just paste it, right? So now we have the yellow border on the top. Then we have a onward list actual link, right? A. So we're going to say over here nav, over here ULLIA, and what would be the properties and values we would want to change. Text decoration, none. Over here, none. Then we're going to have a display. Over here, we're going to say this is going to be block. Over here, we're going to say this display block. Then we're going to be saying that this is going to be also a text align center. Text align, over here, center. Then we're going to have a font size 20. Font size over here. And we're going to say this is going to be 20 pixels, right? Then we're going to have a padding. And padding is going to be 15 pixels by 25 pixels over here like this. And then we're going to have a color, and the color is actually going to be the black one, right? So we're going to go over here. This is going to be 2FE. No, I'm sorry. This is going to be the yellow one over here. So if we go back over here, we copy and paste this, right? So it's going to be E6A F2E, right? So E6A F2E. Over here like this, and then obviously we would want a background, right, for the actual UL, right? Over here you can see that I actually missed a background color, so I'm going to say background color over here, and I'm going to say that this is going to be the black one, right? So 191716, right? So now we have the black one, and the links are also done, right? And now we would want, as we're hovering over the links, we would want a different color, right? So I'm going to create a little bit more space so we can see better. And over here, we're going to say as we're hovering, right? Some things should be different. So we're just going to copy this guy. And over here, we're going to paste it. And we're going to say that this is going to be hover. And as we're hovering, the color is going to be a white one, right? Well, whitish, right? It's not going to be completely white. So over here, we're going to say this is going to be E. And then we're going to have 0E. And then we're going to have 2dB, 2dB, right? So we can save this guy over here, and we can check it out, right? So this is going to be the white one. Now, also we would need to style the logo, right? So remember that first one that we created, right? The web agency, we would need to style this, right? So here I'm going to say for this logo, right? For this class, I'm targeting the class. Now you can see what's happening, right? First, we're going to say this is going to be display of flex, right? Because you can see that I want them actually not side by side, I want them actually separate, right? So when I say display flex, right, then I'm going to say text transform, over here, transform, and I'm going to say this is going to be uppercase, right? Uppercase like this. And over here, maybe right away as we have display flex, let's deal with a flex, and we're just going to say this is going to be justify content, and over here space between, right? So now we have this one. Now you can see the font awesome right away flies all the way to the right, yeah? So now we have a text transform. Then we will want a font size, and we're going to say this is going to be 40 pixels. and then we're going to have a background, right? And the background is actually going to be different, right? So over here we're going to say E6A over here, and then it's going to be F2E, right? Over here like this, and then the actual color is going to be the black one, right? So 1917 over here 1716, right? So it's other way around how it would be in regular links. And then the font style is going to be italic, over here italic. And then we need to add the rule as we're hovering, right? So the background color is going to be different and the actual color is going to be different. So here I can just say logo, and over here I'm going to say hover, right? And what we're going to say over here, background color, and the background color is going to be over here the E0E, and then it's going to be 2dB, right? And then the color is going to be over here E6A, and then this is going to be F2E, right? So we can go ahead and check it out over here. What we have with the web agency, right? So we're going to have a white one, and the actual color is going to be yellow, right? Now the most interesting part over here, right? So you can see that we have set up for the small screen, right? Everything is working, everything looks nice, right? But if I save this over here, and if we go to the big screen, right, it's also going to look the same, right? And this is not what we want. We obviously would want for the bigger screen, right? So the moment we're actually leaving the small screen, we actually would want it to be laid out in a row. So what we're going to do over here is we're going to have a responsive media screen, right? So we're going to go over here, and we're going to write that this is going to be media, and then we're going to say screen, and then we're going to say right? And the minimum width actually is going to be a 576 pixels. And I just stole this one from a Bootstrap, right? Because that's what they have. So for the smaller screen, right, they have 576. So I just took that one as an example and was going to go off it, right? So only when we're leaving the small screen, what should happen, right? First, we're going to target a nav UL, right? And what we're going to say that this is going to be display, and we're going to say display flex, right? Once we have the flex, then we would want a flex wrap, right? Because what's going to happen is as we're actually making this screen smaller, the actual links are going to be bumping into each other, right? They're going to be shrinking, and we don't want that. We're just going to say this is going to be flex. Over here, we're going to say wrap, right? And we're going to say that this is going to be wrapping, right? So they're nicely going to be stacking underneath each other once the screen gets smaller. Then we're going to have a align items, and we're going to say baseline. And the reason for that is for the bigger screen, right? What's going to happen is that over here, you can see that I didn't save this main CSS, right? But if I save this, right, for the bigger screen, what's happening is this font size is going to be different than this, right? So you don't want to actually center these ones or something like that. You can just go with align baseline. They're all going to be the same because they're all going to be actually looking at the value of where the text is, right? Not how big the box is. And when we're talking about wrapping, you can see, right, that the moment it's actually going to hit over here this edge, it's actually going to wrap to the next line instead of actually shrinking, right? So it's going to look much more nicer. And once we have the baseline done, then we're going to say that we would want a justify content between, right? So over here we can say that this is going to be space between over here, and then what we would want is actually style the actual links, right? And what we're going to say that this is going to be nav ULLI, and we're going to use a flex property, and we're going to say that this is going to be flex, and this should grow always. That's why we're going to set it to 1. Over here we're going to say this is never going to shrink, so it's going to be 0, and this is going to be auto. Just remember one thing, that when you're using this auto, right, you're not specifically saying how big it is, right? You're just pretty much saying whatever how big the link is, that's how it always should stay. Now, the way you control the link is over here with this padding right now, right? Because if you're not specifically saying. So remember, if you're going to set over here padding to, let's say, 60, right? And we're just going to go over here back, right? So obviously they're going to be shrinking way faster, right? Now you can see that there's 3 of them, right? Because the actual padding is much more bigger, right? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to set it to 25 like we had before, right? But remember that with the padding that's where you're actually controlling the width of the actual link. And then we're going to have for the logo, right? I don't want this font awesome to be on a bigger screen. So I'm going to say logo over here. and I'm going to say that this is going to be display block, right? So first we're going to just set the whole thing as display block, and then we're going to have a text align center, text align center, and then the last thing is going to be actual font awesome, right? So here we're going to say logo, and we're going to say for font awesome, right? Not logog, but actual logo. And over here we're going to say that we would want a display, and we're going to say none, right? So for the bigger screen, we wouldn't want it to show. So now we save this. Actually, we can refresh, and this should look exactly the same like we had before, right? So you can see that we have web agency, right? We have the hovering effect, and as we're hovering over the links, right? But then they're not shrinking, right? So as you can see, this screen gets smaller, and the moment the link is supposed to start to shrink, you can see this is going to fall to the next line with the flex wrap property, right? And this is going to be it for this nav bar. And next section, we're going to be creating a banner. Next section we're going to be creating over here, this is going to be the banner section. So right, so we're going to look at how we can actually center it with CSS flexbox, and you can see that this is going to be centered over here vertically and horizontally, right? And you're going to see how easy it is, right? So what we're going to do over here, we're going to go back to index.html, right? And we're going to do a very short and very simple setup, right? As you're going to see with these videos, the HTML is usually going to be really around maybe 10 lines, maybe less, right? And then the CSS is going to be, well, longer or much longer, depends on the section. So here I'm going to say banner with a comment, right? So then I know that this was the end of nav. So here I'm going to say end of nav. And this is going to be the banner, right? So over here we can just say end of banner right away, banner, and then we're going to write our HTML over here, right? So here I'm going to say this is going to be header with an ID of banner, right? And once we have that, we're actually going to have a div of banner title, right? And once we have that, we're going to have a banner text, which is going to be actually heading 1, and we're going to say banner text over here like this. And then over here we're going to write this is going to be web agency over here like this. Then we're going to have a div with a underline, banner underline. So we're going to say that this is going to be div of banner underline. And over here we're just going to leave this guy empty, right? This is going to be for our line that we're going to be creating. And then we're going to have a div with a class of banner button, right? So we're going to say banner btn over here, and over here we're going to have few buttons, right? So over here I'm going to say this is going to be a button and press tab, and over here this is going to be type button, and then here we're going to say buy. I'm going to say buy now, and then the next one is going to be about us. So let's just copy this one again over here like this, and over here we're going to say that this is going to be a about us, right? So I'm going to say about us over here, and we're actually done with HTML, and we can jump to CSS and start styling, right? So here the first thing we need to do is obviously create a comment, right? So this is going to be the banner section. So I'm going to over here make a hashtag, and I'm going to say banner, and over here I'm going to also make a hashtags, right? And then we're going to go over here and create way more room, right? So we can see better what's happening. And the first thing we're going to say is going to be banner, and over here we're going to say this is going to be have a minimal height of 90 view heights over here like this, 90 view heights, right? So now that we have this going, we would want a background, right? And first I'm going to write that this is going to be URL, and then I'm going to say images, and this is going to be background banner. So background banner is going to be our first one, right? And next thing that I would want to do is actually fix this, right? Because this wasn't W, this was actually just regular, right? And now we have the 90 view heights, right? Then we would want to attach a few more properties, right? First is going to be background attachment, right? Not blend mode, but background attachment. And we're going to say that this is going to be a fixed, right? Then we're going to have a background position center, background position, and we're going to say center, or here like this. Then we're going to have a background size. I'm going to say background size, and we're going to say cover. And once we have a cover, we're going to say background repeat, and we're going to say no repeat. And then we're going to have a display flex, and that's going to be actually for setting these ones in the center, right? So just for now, right, you can see that with our banner, right, you can see that the background image is actually kind of a little bit light, right? So if I save this one over here, and if we go back over here and we refresh, right, you can see that eventually this is going to be a little bit too light to what we want, right? And what we can always do is actually create an overlay to the image, right? So we go back over here, where's the background, and on a new line over here in linear gradient, right? So we're going to add something on top of actual this image, right? So I'm going to say this is going to be RGBA, and I'm just going to add a black one, right? So this is going to be 0, and the last one is going to be actually the opacity, how transparent this is, right? So I'm going to grab this guy over here like this, and I'm going to copy this guy and place a comma over here and another comma over here, all the way on the back over here like this. Now you can see that we have this overlay, right? So we have a nice darker overlay because we're going to be making these fonts over here white. So now that we're done with our actual background image, we'd want to actually get this in a center, right? This text. And what we're going to do is we'll again use a display flex property. So we're going to say display, not the direction, display, and we're going to say flex. And then we're going to have a align item center, align not content items. We're going to say not baseline, center over here, right? So you can see how it moved actually vertically in the center. And then we would want a justify content center, right? Just to place them actually in the actual horizontal center, right? And you can see how easy it is, right? It's pretty much 3 properties, right, with the values, and that's it. And no more hacks, no more floating, no more transform, translate, or anything like that. And over here, we're going to say that for the banner text, right, this is going to be the title of the page, right? We're going to say font size over here. We're going to say 50 pixels, right? Once we have the 50 pixels, we're going to say text transform over here. And you can see that I did a mistake over here. Actually, I need a semicolon. And another thing that we need to do is actually create more room so you can see actually better what we're doing. So text transform, and we're going to say uppercase, right? So we're going to say uppercase. Then once we have the uppercase, we're gonna need a color. So I'm going to say color, and this is going to be E, and again 0 A, and then we're going to have 2dB, right over here. And you can see that I messed something up because it's kind of pink. What we need to do is get rid of this guy, right? This A, and now we have a white font, right? So now everything is working. And once we have the color, we would want a font style. Over here, we're going to say italic, right? So we're going to go over here with italic. And this is going to be it for the banner text. And now we would need a banner underline, right? So we're going to say go over here. We're going to say banner. We're going to say underline over here. And what we would want to do is we will want a width of a 200 pixels, right, over here. And then we would want a border over here. And we're going to say this is going to be 3 pixels, solid. And we're going to have a 19 over here like this, hashtag 191716, right? So now that we have this, right, so this is going to be our underline, right? But what we also would want to add is actually a margin, right? So we're going to say 10 pixels from the top, then we're going to have an auto, then we're going to have 20 pixels to the bottom, and then we're also going to have auto, right? So we're going to place it actually in the center, but we're going to create a little bit more space. And then we would want to start styling the actual buttons, right? So here I'm going to say banner and BTN, right? And what I'm going to say, this is going to be display flex again, right? Because I want to push them away from each other. And here I'm going to say that this is going to be justify content, and this is going to be space between, right? So now I can see right away how they moved one away from the other one. And then we would want to actual style the actual button, right? So here I'm going to say banner class BTN, and then it's going to be button. And over here, what we're going to write is font over here size. We're going to say 30 pixels. Then we're going to have a padding of 15 over here like this. Then we're going to have text transform, and we're going to have a uppercase. Then over here, we're going to say this is going to be margin 0, 10 pixels over here like this. Then we're going to have a background, right? Over here, sorry, background, and we're going to say transparent, right? So we're going to say transparent, right? Over here like this. And then we're going to have a color, and the color again is going to be over here E6A, and then we're going to have F2E over here like this. And then what we would want to do is actually have a border, right? So we'll have border 2 pixels solid, and we're going to use the same color. So we can just grab this guy over here like this, copy this one and paste it over here, right? Now that we have this, we would want a hovering effect, right? So we're going to grab over here this button, copy this one and paste it, and we're just going to say hover, right? And what happens is we're hovering, the color should be different. So here I'm going to say this is going to be E0E, and then it's going to be 2dB, right? So this time I didn't mess up anything. And then we're going to have a background, and the background is going to be the white one, right? So over here, what we're going to do is over here, this guy, I'm just going to copy, paste, and we're done, right? So we can go over here and check it out what we have, and we can also obviously go to the big screen, right? Refresh, and you can see that everything is working, right? It's exactly in the middle where we want it, right? The buttons are working as we're hovering, and now we're ready to build the next section, which is going to be a skills section. And the next section we're going to be building over here, this is going to be the skills section, right? And like I said, this is going to be responsive, right? So as you can see that it changes from 4 columns over here, and then it's going to be 2, and on the smaller screen it's going to be 1, right? So let's go to our index.html over here and open it up, and we're going to say that this is going to be the end of banner. So over here we're going to say this is going to be skills section, right? Skills section. And over here we're going to say this is going to be the end of skills section. So let's copy this and write over here end of skills section, right? And what we're going to have over here is we're going to say this is going to be section over here like this, with an ID of skills, right? And once we have this, we're going to say a div. This is going to be skills container, right? Once we have that, we're going to have a skills item, which is actually going to be in an article, right? So here I'm going to write an element article, and this is going to have a class of skills item over here like this. And once we have our first article, we're going to have a font awesome. We're going to have fa, and over here we're going to say this is going to be code over here like this. And then we're going to have a heading 1 over here like this. We're going to say this is going to be heading 1, and this is going to be a class actually of code, right? So we're going to write, I'm sorry, this is going to have a actual content of code, right? So I'm going to write over here code and press tab over here, and now we have heading 1, and now we would want a padding, right? So over here I'm going to write, I'm sorry, paragraph. This is going to be paragraph, and over here I'm going to say this is going to be lorem. So I'm going to insert some dummy text. This is going to be like 15 words or something like that, right? So over here I'm going to press tab, and now we have a paragraph. And then the next thing that we would want to do is obviously create more skills items like this, right? So what I'm going to do over here, I'm just going to save this for now, like save this, and then what we're going to do is grab this article, and over here we're going to say this is going to be article, and this is going to be the end of article, right? So we can just see better where we have the new article, so it's easier for us to work. End of article, and then let's just grab this, right? So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, right? So now we have 4 of them. And what we're going to write over here, the next one is going to be file text O, right? So we're going to say this is going to be documented. So let's find where's the second one. Here we're going to say this is going to be a documented, and this is going to be a file over here, file text O over here like this. Then we're going to have over here, this guy is going to be map O, and this is going to be optimized, right? Over here we're going to write this is going to be optimized over here, probably it's correct, right? Optimized. And then the last one is going to be a desktop, right? So over here we're going to say desktop, And then over here, we're going to write not code, but it's going to be different. It's going to be retina, right? Over here like this. And we're done with our HTML. And we're ready to move on to a main CSS. Over here, we're just going to say end of skills section, right? And over here, we can just go ahead to main CSS and start styling, right? So we have the main CSS, and obviously once we're done with the banner, right, we need to make a comment, and this is going to be actually a skills section, right? So again, we go to over here and create a comment, and we're going to say this is going to be skills section, right? Then over here we can create hashtags. We can I mean, it really depends. Just sometimes those hashtags actually help you to see everything better, right? Over here we're going to scroll down, right, so we can see that in this size, right? And we're going to start styling over here. Over here we're going to say this is going to be skills first, and then we're going to have a few things, right? First is going to be padding, and the padding is actually going to be 60 pixels over here like this, so top bottom, but actually on the sides we're going to leave it 0, right? Then we'll have a background color, and the background color over here is going to be this BEB, and then it's going to be 7A4, right? So let me just make sure that I have this color over here, BB7. Yeah, that's the gray one, right? I was just kind of confused whether I put it there or not, right? So now we have a skills. Then we would want a skills container, right? So over here we're going to write skills container, and what we have over here, this is going to be a max width over here like this, and we're going to say this is going to be 95 view, right? So this is going to be for a view when it's horizontally, right? So what we're doing over here, we're just setting it so it doesn't expand more, like we're just creating a little padding, right? But we're also right away going to center it, right? So I'm going to say margin 0 auto, right? So now I can see that the whole container that actually contains all these articles, we're just putting in the center, and we're saying that we don't want it to be more than 95, right? So 95 should be the max. Over here we're going to say skills, and we're going to say item, and what should we do with item, right? So here we're going to say text align center, right? So we moved it in the center, margin, and margin is going to be only the top, and over here 0, right? So you can see that we just created these margins. This was the most important part for us on a small screen, so they're not stacking into each other, right? And then we're going to have a skills item font awesome, right? So we're going to go over here, we're going to say skills item, and we're going to say font awesome, and what should happen, right? So here we're going to say font size, this is going to be 60 pixels, right? So we're going to make them big. Then we're going to have color, and let's say hashtag over here of let's say 191716, right? So we're going to make them black. Then we're going to have a letter spacing, right? And we're going to say letter spacing 1 pixel, right? So we're going to make them a little bit less stacked together, right? Here, this is going to be skills, and we're going to say item, and we're going to have heading 1, right? And what should happen? We're going to say this is going to be font size over here, not font display, font size, and we're going to say font size is going to be 30 pixels, right over here, 30. And then we're going to have a letter spacing of 2 pixels, letter spacing 2 pixels. Then we're going to have a actual margin, and you can see actually over here this was completely unnecessary. I don't know why I was putting a letter spacing over here, right? It doesn't make sense. Letter spacing I needed over here for my heading. And then I'm going to have a margin, and over here margin is going to be 30 pixels and 0 over here, and the color, right? And what is going to be the color? This is going to be hashtag E6A, and then it's going to be F2E, right? So we're going to make this yellow color, and then we're going to say text transform, and we're going to say uppercase over here like this. Now that we have it uppercase, we have, let's say, 3 more rules to actually create. First is going to be for the paragraph, and then the next 2 is actually as we're making it responsive, right? So over here we're going to say skills, we're going to say item, and paragraph, right? And what should happen? So first we're going to say that the width is actually should be only 75%, right? So 75%, right? Then again, we need to make the trick with the margin, right? So we're actually setting it in the center, and then we're gonna have a color, right? And the color is gonna be hashtag E0E, and then we're gonna have 2db, right? So now we have a color, and then we would want a media screens for responsiveness, right? So here I'm gonna say this is gonna be media and screen over here, and then we're gonna say and for the min width, right? Min width over here, like this, and then we're gonna start with 576 pixels, and then what we're gonna say is we would want to create over here these brackets, right? And we're gonna say this is gonna be for the skills container, and then we're gonna say that this is gonna be display grid over here, and we're gonna say grid template columns, right? So grid template columns, right? And over here we're gonna write this is gonna be 1 fraction and 1 fraction. So basically what we're saying is, listen, just divide it actually in half, right? Exactly in half, just divide it and be done with it, right? And also if we want right away, we can add an actual grid gap, right? So we're gonna say that where is grid over here, column gap, right? So we need to find this gap, and this is basically what is the gap going to be between the columns, right? We're going to say, let's say something like 1 EM, right? So you can see over here, you can start practicing different actually measurements, right? Not just pixels, but this is the new one, the fraction, right? Which pretty much divides it, right? And over here, this is 1 EM, right? So which is not that new, but anyway. And over here, what we would want to do is actually create another one, right? So this is where we are starting from the smaller screen, right? So if I save this one, right, and if I refresh over here to this web agency, right, and you can see right now, this is what I'm gonna have, right? But as I'm going to the bigger screen, this is not what I want, right? I obviously would want 4 of them, right? So what's gonna happen is if I go back over here, all right, we're gonna change the rule, right? And we're not as much as gonna change it, we're gonna add a new one, right? So there was a first media screen, right? And this one is gonna be for a 992, right? So we go back over here and we say 992, and instead this time in 1 fraction, right? So what we're gonna say, this is gonna be, we're gonna use a repeat method, right? Repeat, and over here we're gonna write that we would want 4 times repeat and 1 fraction, right? Over here 1 fraction. And this is another way how to write it. We could have written 1 fraction, 1 fraction, 1 fraction, 1 fraction, right? But we can also shorten by just writing repeat, then how many times and what kind of amount, right? So over here, what I'm gonna do is make the grid gap a little bit less. So let's say I'm gonna make something like 5 pixels just for fun of it in the beginning, and then we'll see how it looks like, right? So let's refresh, and then we go back over here. And now you can see that now we have 4 of them, right? And this is how they're actually gonna look like. And this is gonna be it for this section. And now we're ready to move on to the next section. And the next section we're gonna be creating over here, this is gonna be the services section, right? So there's gonna be 2 things that we're gonna be looking at. Obviously, we're gonna put it in the center, then we're gonna look at CSS to move this text up and down. And then also we're gonna be changing the order, right? So let's go to index.html over here in our file. And this was the end of the skills section, right? So now I have 2 comments. Now you can see that I overdo it, right? And this is going to be, first one is going to be services section, right? And the services section is also going to have the title, right? The title that we're going to be actually reusing, right? So here we're going to say services section over here like this. And then we're going to say the end of services, right? End of services section. Right, so now that we have this, we would want a section over here, section with an ID of services, right? Once we have that, the first thing that we're going to do is actually place a title, right? So I'm going to say over here the comment, this is going to be title, and this is going to be the end of title, because we're going to be reusing the title. So I'm going to say end of title over here like this. And then we're going to have a div with a class of title over here like this. And then we're going to have a title text, which is going to be another div, title text over here. And then within the title text, we're going to have heading 1, and we're going to say this is going to be services services over here like this, and I pressed the tab in the wrong space. So over here, if we press, now we have services, right? And then we will have a title underline, right? So over here, this is separate, right? And then we're gonna have a div of title underline over here, and then we're gonna have pretty much the end of our title, right? So we have the title, right? Then we have title underline, and this is gonna be a title text, right? So here, this is gonna be the end of title. Now we can start creating the sections, right? So over here, we're gonna say this is gonna be, first of all, div, and this is gonna be services container, services container over here. And then within this div, we're gonna have articles, right? And the first article, right, we're gonna say this is gonna be article, and then we're gonna have the end of article, right? So what we're gonna do is just copy and paste this. We're gonna say end of article, right? And as we go over here, we're gonna have an element of article, and then we're gonna have a class of service item over here like this, and over here there's gonna be another class, service item black, right? So we're going to change this one around for the gray one, right? So this is going to be white instead, but for this one, this is going to be black, right? And once we have the article set up, let's go over here, and first we're going to create a div with a class of front text, right? So that's going to appear up front, right? So we have the div, and over here we're going to say this is going to be fa, over here fa gears, right? So this is going to be font awesome, font gears over here like this. And then we're going to have a heading 1 also over here. We're going to say this is going to be heading 1, and we're going to say this is going to be web development over here like this. Press tab. Now we have heading 1, and this is going to be it for the front text, right? And over here we need to create a back text, right? That's only going to appear once we're actually hovering over, right? So over here div, and this is going to be back text over here, and I'm going to say this is going to be heading 1. And this is also going to be web development, right? Web development over here. Again, press tab. Now we have heading 1, right? And over here, we're going to place the actual paragraph, right? So over here, let's make this bigger a little bit, right? So paragraph, and within the paragraph, again, we're going to say, like, let's say lorem 15, right? So 15 words. And over here, you can see that if I press tab again, now I have my paragraph, and then I'm going to have a button. All right, so over here I'm going to say button, and this is going to have a type over here, type button, and then this is going to be read more, read over here more, right? So now we have a front text and the back text, and we have the whole article, right? So let's check it out where it ends, right? So this is the end of the article. So I'm going to grab together with a comments, and I need 3 more. So 1, 2, 3, right? So what I would want to do over here, create a new line, and we're just going to check it out what is different in the next one, right? So first of all, in the next one, this is not going to be item black, it's going to be actually item white, right? So this is the first difference. Over here, we're going to write actually design and branding, right? Design over here and branding. So we're going to find where is over here and we're going to say branding, and then we're going to have pencil square O over here instead of gears. So we're going to say fa pencil over here square, and over here we're going to say O, right? So now we have this font awesome, and obviously we need to change this guy too, right? So over here I'm just going to copy this one, design and branding, copy, and we're going to delete this guy, and we're going to paste this one, right? So now we have the design and branding. Next one is going to be service item black over here, and then it's going to have a pie chart as a font awesome, pie chart. And then this one is not going to be web development, this is actually going to be analytics. So analytics over here. And then the next one is going to be a service item white again, right? So this is going to be white. And over here, let's maybe change this one to analytics too. So now we have this, copy this guy, delete this guy over here and paste. And then once we have the analytics, the last one is going to be CEO, and this is going to be file line chart. So we go over here, right, file line chart, right, and over here we're going to write this is going to be CEO, and over here we're going to say and, right, and SM, right. So again, let's grab this one, copy this one, and paste this one over here, and we have text white, text black, right. And this is going to be it for our HTML setup. And now we're ready to go to CSS and start. So let's go to main CSS and start styling, right? And the first thing that we're going to create is actually for the title, right? Because remember over here, this is going to be our title that we're going to be actually reusing, right? So we're going to go over here, and I'm just going to say this is going to be for the title. And let's just do a few things, right? First, we're going to say title, and we're going to have a property of margin, and we're going to say 40 pixels and 0 over here like this. Over here, then we're going to have a title text, right? So we're going to go over here, and we're going to say this is going to be a title over here text over here like this, and we're going to say this is going to be text align. We're going to say center. Then we're going to have a font size over here of 40. Font size over here, font size. We're going to say 40 pixels. Then we're going to have a color, and the color is actually going to be hashtag E0E2DB over here like this. And then we're going to have a font style over here like this, and we're going to say italic. And then we're going to have a text transformation uppercase, right? So text transformation uppercase. All right, so now this is going to be our big text. And then we need to create a title underline, right? So we'll go over here, we'll say title, and we're going to say title underline, right? And what we should have is width over here of 200 pixels over here like this. Then we're going to have a border of 3 pixels solid, right? So 3 pixels solid. And here we're going to say this is going to be E6A. And then we're going to have F2E, right? And then we just need to do the margin. So we're going to say margin 0 auto, right? So now you can see that it's exactly in the middle. And now that we're done with the title, now we're going to actually start styling services. Services over here. And then we're going to have first rule for the whole section, right? So we're going to say over here services, right over here. And then we're going to say what kind of roles you should have, right? So minimal height, we're going to give it this time view height 100, right? And then we're just going to copy actually from whatever we had, right? So if we scroll all the way to the top, right, you can see that we have this one, right? And we're just going to copy this one, right? Now the difference is we're not going to need a linear gradient, and we're also going to need this display flex, right? So we're just going to go over here. We're going to say copy, right? And scroll the way all the way in the bottom, right? And just copy and paste over here, right? So we copy and paste it, and we're just going to get rid of linear gradient over here like this. Now you can see that we have the image, right? And everything is working, everything is fine. Now the only difference is that right now we would want some little bit of padding, right? So we're going to go over here, and we're just going to say that we would want a padding, and we want a padding of 20 pixels over here. Then we would want a 0. Then we would want a 80 pixels over here like this. And then we're going to have another 0. All right, so pretty much top and bottom, right? Padding, and the side we're just going to leave it like the way it is, right? Then the next guy, what we're going to have is actually service container, right? You can see that, you know what, let's change the image. The actual image is services. So we're going to go back over here, and I'm going to change the image because it does make a difference, right? So now we have a better looking image for this particular part. And we're going to say services, and we're going to say container, right? And once we have this, we're going to have a max width over here. And we're going to say this is going to be 90 and view port, right? Like this, view W. And then we're going to have a margin of 0 auto, right? So we're going to place it in the center, and then we're going to have a color. And over here, hashtag E0E, and then we're going to have 2DB, right? So now we're going to have a white color, and then we're going to have a service item, right? So now we start actually dealing with this whole thing, right? And the first thing we need is actually the service item. So over here, we're going to say service, and we're going to say item, right? And what should happen? Over here, we're going to say that this is going to be overflow hidden. So we're going to say overflow, and we're going to say hidden, right? Once we have this, we're going to say position relative, and then we're going to have a padding, and we're going to say the padding is actually going to be 60 pixels all around, 60 pixels over here like this, right? So you can see that we created a padding, right? And then we actually created a relative and hidden, right? And you'll see why we had actually these two properties just in a sec, right? So the next one, we would want a service item font awesome, right? So we'll say service over here item, and we're going to say font awesome, right? So now we're targeting the font awesome. Over here, we're going to say font size, and we're going to say 60 pixels. Then we're going to have a margin bottom. Over here, we're going to say this is going to be 30 pixels, right? Then we're going to have a color, and the color over here is going to be E over here 6A, and then it's going to be F2E, over here like this. So we're pretty much creating a color for it to be obviously yellow, right? So we have the same yellow color. Then over here, what we're going to do is we're going to say that for the service item black, right? So first, let's go and remember when we had one service item was black and the other one was white, right? So over here, we're going to say service item, and over here, we're going to say black. And what's going to happen, we're going to say background, right? And now we're going to have linear gradient over here like this. And then we're going to say this is going to be RGBA, and we're going to say this is going to be 0, 0, 0, and this is going to be 0.7. And then we're just going to copy this one, right? So we're going to grab this guy over here and press copy, and over here place a comma over here, and this is going to be a semicolon, right? So you can see what happened with the black ones, right? You can see how they had actually the black overlay, right? And as always, we need to do the same thing with a white one, right? So over here we can just copy this one, have this one new, and over here we're going to say this is going to be white, service item white, and over here we're going to change these values, right? So this is going to be 2.6, then the next one is going to be 208, and then over here we're going to have a 206, and over here this is going to be 0.6, and the next one is going to be exactly the same, right? So again, we have a few options. We can just copy this one and actually paste it, or however you would want, right? So over here, I'm just going to delete this guy over here, and we're going to have a bracket and paste it over here, and now we have two of them, right? And this is going to be actually, you can see this different overlay, right? So this is going to be this lighter overlay, right? And for the lighter overlay, we need to change the color. So we're going to say the color is going to be 191716, right? So we're going to make it a darker color. And then over here, what we would want to start actually styling these front and back text, right? So technically this font awesome icon in this title is the front text, and this is the text that's going to actually appear. So that's why I'm going to call it a back text, right? So front text over here, and that's what's going to happen. We're going to say this is going to be text align center, text align, we're going to say center, and then we're going to have transition, right, over here, and we're going to say transform, and we're going to say 2 seconds, right, over here like this, right? So this is for the front text to actually move up, right? And now we have a back text that actually needs to also move up, right? But first we need to move it actually down, right? So over here I'm going to say back text, and then we're going to have a properties and values, right? So first we want is position absolute. Over here we're going to say absolute, right? So we're pretty much trying to get rid of this guy, right? We don't want it to be shown in the beginning, right? And therefore we had over here this position relative, so we can play around with this position absolute, right? And also over here, this overlay hidden had to be over here, so we can hide this guy, right? So over here, we're gonna say bottom, and bottom is gonna be negative 15 EMs, right? And you're just gonna have to believe me of what we're doing right now, right? Because I obviously set everything, right? But if you want, you can add this to last so you can see what we're actually doing, right? So here I'm gonna say this is gonna be width 75% over here. Then we're gonna set again the margin. We're gonna have 0 auto. Then we're gonna have a height, and we're gonna say this is gonna be 100%. Then we're gonna have a transition, right? And this is gonna be actually bottom transition, right? So we're gonna say bottom, and then we're gonna say 2 seconds, right? Then we're gonna have a padding of 30 pixels and 0 pixels, right? Then what we would want to do is actually style the heading one, right? So we're going to go back over here. We're going to say back text over here, and we're going to say heading one, right? And what should happen, we're going to say margin and margin bottom over here, and we're going to say 20 pixels, right? So again, you're just gonna have to believe me what we're doing, right? And because you're gonna be later on, you'll see actually how everything looks like. So next one is actually gonna be over here, back text, and then we're gonna say this is gonna be button, right? And what should happen to the button, right? So first we're gonna say margin top, and we're gonna say, let's say 20 pixels, right? Then we're gonna be a padding. We're gonna say 10 pixels, and over here 20 pixels. Right? Then we're gonna have a background, and we're gonna have a transparent, right? Transparent over here like this. Then we'll have a border, and the border is gonna be 2 pixels solid, and then we're gonna change this one around, right? So this is gonna be hashtag, and not border, but border. And here we're gonna say this is gonna be E6 over here A. And then this is going to be F2E, F2E, right? So we have this guy, and then I have font size for the button, font size, and then we have 20 pixels over here, and the color is going to be, again, this is going to be the E over here, 6A, and F2E, F2E, right? So now we have this set up, and now we'd want something as we're hovering, right? So we're gonna go over here, and you know what? I'm kind of getting tired of not seeing anything, right? So I'm just gonna move this one so you can see actually what's happening, right? And then just remind me actually to change this one so it's actually working, right? And then over here we're gonna say for the back text button, text over here button, and we're gonna say hover. And what should happen as we're hovering, right? So we're gonna set the rules as we're hovering, right? So we're going to make it over here. We're going to say background color, ground color, and we're going to say this is going to be, again, this is going to be E6A and F2E, F2E, right? Then we're going to have a color, and the color is going to be 191617, right? 1716, and then we want for the white button, right? Because the white button is going to be a little bit different, because you can see that it's not going to look as good, right? If it stays the same, right? So here we're going to say this is going to be service white button, right? So service over here, item, over here white, and then we're going to say button over here hover, right? So as we're hovering, what should happen? Let's check it out. First is going to be background, and background we're actually going to say this is going to be 191716, right? So the background is going to be like this. Then we'll have a border, and we're going to say border color. And you know what? I actually went ahead. I didn't need for the hovering, right? So we actually needed different, right? So first we needed for the button. So I apologize for this. And we needed a background yellow, right? So not this one. So we're going to go over here. We're going to say this is going to be E6A. And then we're going to have a F2E, right? So this is going to be the white one. And over here, we're going to have a color of black, right? So we're going to go with color. And over here, we're going to say the color is going to be hashtag, right? So first it was hashtag, And then we're going to say 191716 1716. All right, so then we have a black text. And then we want a hovering effect, right? So now we can just copy this guy over here, copy this one, and actually set it over here, copy and paste it, and we're going to say hover. All right, so we're going to say hover, and what should happen over here, it should be a background, right? And now the background is going to be 191716. Then we're going to have a border color, which is also going to be the same, right? So we can just copy this one over here and copy this guy, copy and paste, and then we're going to have a color, right? And the color is going to be, again, it's going to be E6A, and then we're going to have F2E, all right? So we'll have this one over here. Let's check it out, right? As we're hovering, you can see what's happening, right? That we have a colors, right? But maybe over here, I don't know whether we would want over here this border, not background color, actually border color. This is border color, right? So if we go back over here, you can see this should look like this, right? And then we have for the front text, right? When we have those two rules that actually make all the magic happen, right? So here, let's remember again this -15 EM, right? So let's hide them again, right? And now let's actually set the rules that they would appear, right? So over here, we're going to write service item. So service item, and then we're going to say hover, right? So as we're hovering over service item, what should happen, right? So we're going to have a front over here text, and then we're going to have a transform property, right? And we're going to say this is going to be translate Y, and we're going to say this is going to be -200 pixels over here like this, right? So we're just going to save this guy, and over here we're going to say service over here item, and we're going to say again hover, and what should happen to the back text, right? So back text over here, and what we're going to do is bottom, not border, bottom 0, right? So let's save this one. Let's go to the big screen. It's going to look probably better, right? Refresh, right? Now you can see I haven't set up the grid yet, right? But just for hovering, right? This is how we do it, right? So just remember those two things, right? First we have over here, this was the resolution, right? And first this was the setup, right? For the back and front text, right? You can see over here, right? So this one was for the back text, right? And this was for the front text. So for the front text, this obviously was lots more shorter, right? We just did a transform, and then we added 2 seconds, and then we did the transform translate Y, right? And over here for transition, this was a little bit more because we first had to hide it, right? So position absolute and bottom minus negative, right? And obviously these values can differ of what you have inside over here, right? But this is the general setup, right? First we hide it, and then we go back over here, and then we resolve this, right? And the last thing that we actually have is media, right? So this is for responsive screen. So if we go back over here, I'm just going to create a little bit more room because this is going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to say over here media, and we're going to say screen over here like this, and right, and here we're going to write min width over here. I'm going to say this is going to be 776, right? So this is going to be for the medium, 776 pixels wide over here. Then we're going to have a brackets, and then we're going to say that this is going to be a services container, and over here we're going to write that this is going to be display, and we're going to say grid, right? So we want first to be display grid, and then there's going to be another things that we're going to add, right? I'm going to say grid template over here, template columns over here like this. Maybe let's get rid of this guy over here. Grid template columns, and we're going to say this is going to be one fraction, right? So over here 2 fractions, and then now we would actually want to change the order, right? So remember how these ones look like this, right? And if we actually save this and go back, right, you'll see that it's not going to look the way we want, right? So this is going to look like this, right? So obviously we need to change the order of these guys, right? Over here, just flip this one to the left, right? So what we're going to do over here, we're going to write services. Over here, container, and we're going to say this is going to be service item class, and we're going to have a nth child, and we're going to say this is 1, right? Nth child of type 1. Or here we're going to say of type, and we're going to say 1, right? So let's delete this one. I'm going to say 1, and what should happen for the first one, we're just going to say this is going to be order 1 over here, and now we're going to copy and paste this and just change around 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, right? And this is going to be obviously the child number 2. The child number 2 is going to stay. The 3 actually is going to become a 4, and the 4 is going to become 3, right? And this was it for this lovely CSS. So we go back, refresh, and you can see that something went wrong because that's not how we wanted, right? So let's check it out again where something must have maybe messed up somewhere, right? So services container, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 3, 4, right? And this is actually not 3, this is actually needs to be 4, right? So we save this one over here, and let's try it again, right? And sure enough, now it works, right? So now this is how we can create over here this services section, and now we're ready to move on to the next section. And the next section we're going to be creating over here, this is going to be the project section, right? So here we're going to look at zoom in effect, right? And how to have this text again to appear only once we're hovering, right? So again, we'll go back to index.html. We're going to go somewhere all the way in the bottom, right? And we're going to say this is going to be projects section over here. And then we're going to have a section with the ID of projects. So here we're going to say ID, and this is going to be project. And then once we have this, we're actually going to copy and paste the title, right? So we're going to go all the way over here. We'll find where is a services title, right? The title that we created. So this is the title. Just going to grab the title, and we're just going to have to change it around a little bit over here in the HTML and in the CSS, right? So here, this is going to be project, and the rest of it, we're going to change it in CSS, right? So we have project, and then we're going to have a projects container, right? So this is section, and over here, we're going to say this is going to be div with a class of project over here and container over here like this, and then we're going to have an article inside here, right? So we're going to say this is going to be article, and with the class of projects item over here like this, and then we're going to have an image, right? And we're going to say image, and the image is right away, we don't need any classes, so I'm going to say images, and this is going to be current project 1 over here like this, and we're going to say alternative image over here like this, and then we're going to have a div with a image text, right? So obviously still within a article. So we're going to say over here, this is going to be div with image text, right? And then we're going to have a heading 1 over here, and the heading 1 is going to be project flex. So over here we're going to write project over here flex, and then we're going to have a heading 6 right underneath. So we're going to go over here, I'm going to say heading 6, and this is going to be a design over here, design, and web development over here like this. And then once the actual image text ends over here, we're going to have a image footer, all right? And over here we're going to have a div. This is going to be image footer, and here the first thing is going to be footer icon, right? So we're going to say over here div, and this is going to be footer icon class, and over here within this footer icon we're going to place a fa comment. So fa comment o over here like this, and then over here we're just going to place right next to it 0, right? So we're going to say this is going to be 0 over here like this, and then we're going to have a footer date, right? So still within the footer, right? We had a footer icon, and now we'd want a footer date, right? So here we're going to have a div, and this is going to be a footer date over here like this, and over here we're going to write this is going to be December, and this is going to be 12, and this is going to be 2017, right? So now we have everything set up. Now the only thing left to do is for the projects item, right? We obviously need to actually copy these ones, right, and make 3 of them, right? So here, this is the container. So here we're just going to say this is going to be item, and this is going to be the end of item, right? So over here we're going to say end of item, and then we're just going to copy this, right? So we're going to grab this, and 1, 2, right? And here it's going to be projects 2, and this is going to be projects 3. Now I'm not going to be changing any kind of text around here, right? That's really up to you. If you want to do it, go ahead. And obviously for your project, you probably want it to look a little bit different, right? But I'm just going to leave it the way it is over here, right? So we're just going to save this one over here, and then we're going to go to CSS. And so let's go to our main CSS over here, and as always, all the way in the bottom, right? So we're going to create more space over here, and we're just going to say this is going to be projects over here like this. And then we're going to say that for the project title, right, what would be the first thing, right? So we're going to say over here, project, over here, title, text, right? Because we're going to be changing different background, so we would want to text to stand out, right? So we're going to give this black color. So over here, we're just going to say this is going to be 19, over here, color, and this is going to be hashtag 191716, right? So this is going to be black right now. And then we're going to have for the actual project, right? So we'll go over here, write project, and then we're going to say we want padding first. We're going to say this is going to be 20 pixels, then we're going to have 0, and then we're going to have 80 pixels. 80 pixels over here, and then we'll have 0 again over here, and then the background color over here, and we're going to say this is going to be hashtag E, then it's going to be 0E, and then we have 2db, right? So over here like this, and then we need to style the projects container, right? So here I'm going to say projects, and then I'm going to say container, right? And this is actually class, not an ID, container, right? And we're just going to open this one, and we're going to say max width, and over here we're going to say 90, right? And you remember again what we're doing, right? So we're setting the whole container, right? So those 3 items, right, these 3 pictures that are right now very huge, they're actually living inside there, right? So we're just setting the whole width for the whole thing, right? So viewport over here like this, and then we're going to have a margin of 0 auto, right? So now you can see how we placed it actually in the center. And don't worry, we're going to fix the image. It's not going to look like this, right? So then we have a project item, right? So here we're going to write projects. We're going to say item over here, and what should be the item? And this is going to again be position, and we're going to say relative. Then we're going to have a background, then we're going to have a linear background, right? So linear gradient, and then again we're going to use the same thing, RGBA, and this is going to be 0 0 0, here's 0 0 0, and this is, let's say, 8 this time, and again RGBA, and 0 0 0 0 8, right? So something like this. So now that we have this, then we're going to go to actual color. We're going to say that the color is going to be hashtag E, again 0 E 2db over here like this. Then it's going to be the color, then it's going to be overflow, right? And again we need to set it to hidden, right? So we can actually work with these properties that we want to do. And then last thing is going to be margin. This is going to be 10 pixels, and that is actually, we can make it, let's say 20, right, and 0, right? So this is only so they're again not stacking up against each other on a smaller screen, right? Once we're set with a projects item, it's time to actually make the images smaller, right? So over here I'm going to say this is going to be projects, and we're going to say image, right? And what should be with an image? We're going to say first, we're going to say width, we're going to say 100%, right? So this is, you can see right away how it actually got a images, right? They're not as big, right? They're responsive right away when we have width 100, right? Over here we're going to say min height, also we're going to say 100 over here like this. Then we're going to say display, and we're going to say display block, And the last thing that I'm going to do is transition is transform. So I'm going to say over here, transition, transform over here. And transform is going to, again, I'm going to set it for 4 seconds, right? Then for a actual image text, over here, image, and we're going to say text, right? What should happen, right? First, this is going to be position absolute, right? And again, you right away you can see that we're going to start hiding it, right? So position absolute, right? Then we're going to have a top over here. I'm going to say 50%, right? Then we're going to have a left 50%, 50%, and then over here we're going to have a transform, and we're going to use the translate property, right? Translate, and we're going to say this is going to be negative 50, right? And negative 50, right? And this is the old school way of doing, of actually centering, right? And over here we're going to say text align and center, right? We obviously could have used a flex box, but I just wanted to kind of show you what would be the old way, right? And then we're going to say that we're going to actually, again, hide it. We're going to say opacity 0, right? So now you can see that it's hidden. And then transition, and transition is going to be opacity. Opacity, and again, this one we'll set for 4 seconds, right? Now that we have this, we actually need to work with a footer, right? So again, we're going to go over here, and we're going to say this is going to be image footer, right? So class image footer, right? And again, what's going to happen over here, we're going to say display, and we're going to say display flex, because we want to push them away from each other, right? And over here, we're going to say justify content, space between, right? So now you can see they're away from each other. Width is going to be 100%. So width over here 100%, over here like this. Then we're going to have a position, and we're going to say again absolute, position absolute, and then we're going to have left 0, bottom 0 over here. So we're placing it all the way in the bottom of the image or image container. Then we're going to have a padding of 10 pixels all around. Then it's going to be font size 20 pixels over here. And then again, we're going to say opacity 0 and color. And what's going to be the color again is going to be hashtag E6A and F2E. Right? So now that we have that, transition again is going to be opacity. Transition, opacity, and over here we're going to say 4 seconds. Right? So now we have this. Now we'd want to work with those image text heading ones, right? So again, we can maybe change this one for now, right? So we can actually see this, right? Otherwise, this is going to take us, we're not going to be able to see what we're doing, right? So for image text 1, you know what? No, this one can actually, this one we can hide. Let's just do this is only 2 things over here. I think you're going to forgive me for the fact that you cannot see what you're doing. Font size over here, we're going to say 30 pixels. And then over here, we're going to say margin bottom 10, right? So margin bottom 10 pixels, right? So now we have this guy over here. And then we would want for a image text 6, right? For the heading 6. So I don't know what we should do. Just copy and paste this or something like this, 6. Then over here, we're going to say font size, we'll say 15, right? So something like this. And margin bottom, we're just going to get rid of that. There's going to be no margin in the bottom. And now we would want actually to resolve the fact that we cannot see them, right? We're going to say projects over here, and we're going to say item. And then we're going to have a hover effect, right? This is what we're going to add. We're going to have hover image, right? And what happens is we're going to have a opacity over here, and we're going to say 0.4 over here like this. So for the actual image, right, the opacity is going to change. But then also we're going to have a transform, and we're going to say that this is going to be scaling 1.3, right? So now we're working with an actual image, right? And then the last thing that we would want to do as we're hovering over, right? So we can just copy projects item hover. So copy this one and paste it. And then over here, we're going to say this is going to be image text, right? Comma. And then we're going to get this line, copy this one, And over here, this is not going to be image text. This is going to be image footer, right? So for both of them, we're going to set opacity and we're going to say 1, right? So now we save this, and over here you can see what's happening, right? First of all, you can see that the image is zooming in, right? And also everything is appearing, right? Only as I'm hovering, right? You can see that the opacity is in 4 seconds becoming 1, right? So the last thing that we want to do is actually set up again a response class, right? So again, if we don't want to write the whole thing, right, we can find it where was the shorter version, right? Well, actually there wasn't, so maybe let's create one. Over here, again, we're going to say over here that this is going to be media screen. Media, we're going to say screen, and over here we're going to say this is going to be min width, right? And we're going to say 576 pixels. And then what's going to happen? We're going to go over here, close it out, and then this is going to be the rule, right? So over here like this, and then we're going to have a projects container, projects container, and then over here we're going to have display grid, and then we're going to have a grid template columns, grid over here, template columns, and this is going to be repeat, right? So we're going to use again this available option, right? So we're going to be using repeat. We're going to write 2, and this is going to be 1 fraction, right? So 2 times 1 fraction, and this is going to be for the gap, grid column over here gap, and this is going to be 1 em over here like this. And then we're going to have for the bigger screen, right? So this is for the smaller screen. So if we go back over here, copy and paste this, and this is going to be 992, right? So 992, and then we're going to have the same thing, display grid, right? In this case, this is going to be repeat 3, and grid column gap again. Let's leave it at 1, right? So let's save this. Let's go to refresh web agency, right? And now we can have our projects, right? Now you can see that as we're hovering, right, we have the effect. You can see that I added over here semicolon in my HTML, so that was pretty smart. So now I have to go all the way back and actually fix this. So over here, this is, we don't want the semicolon, not over here. And if we go back up and just fix this semicolon, save this, right, and refresh. And you can see that if I'm going to make this smaller, right, as I'm shrinking the screen, now we have 2 columns. And if we go all the way to the small screen, this is going to be 2 columns, but over here this is going to be 1 column, right? And again, you can always change the screens how you think would look better. Right now you know how, but I just think that this is for these kind of pictures, right? It's going to look a little bit better. And now we're done with this section, and we're ready to move on to a next. And the next section we're going to be creating over here is going to be the filler section, right? So we are the professionals and contact us, right? So we'll go back over here to index.html, scroll all the way to the bottom, right? So here we're going to say this is going to be the end of, let's say, project section, right? Projects section over here like this. And then we're going to write that this is going to be filler section. So over here, filler section, right? And copy and paste this guy, the whole thing, and we're going to say end of filler section, right? And over here, what we're going to write that this is going to be a section. Over here, we're going to say this is going to be ID, and this is going to be filler, and we're going to call it filler contact over here like this. And then we're going to have a heading 1 over here like this, and we're going to say we are professionals. We are over here are professionals. If only I could just write professionals, that would make me really professional. And here we're going to have a button, right? So button, and this is going to be type and button, and then we're going to have contact us, right? Contact us, right? So we are professionals, and we have contact us button, right? So we go back to main CSS over here, and we're going to write that this is going to be a filler section, right? So filler a filler contact, right? So here we're just going to say this is going to be filler contact section, right? So we go over here in the bottom, and let's say we're going to say that first we would want again the background, right? So we already know the drill. We can just go up and actually get already with a linear background, right? So let's just find it somewhere where we already have it, linear gradient, right? So we don't need to start everything from the scratch, right? So I'm going to grab this guy, and we're just going to copy this one, and actually we can use it in our advantage, right? Because the flex box is also set up, right? So if I write over here, this is going to be filler contact over here, and let's say I'm going to delete this and copy and paste this, right? And you can see that I needed my brackets over here anyway, right? And what's going to happen is that it's right away already set up, right? So filler contact is exactly like we want, right? Now there's few things that we don't want, which is minimal height. We don't want 90, right? We're actually going to use the padding, right? But you can see that over here, justify content, maybe also we're not going to use the same one. Let's just say that this is going to be a space between, right? And we don't need center, right? Because this is going to be very minimal, right? So now that this setup is done, let's add a few more of ours, right? Here we're going to say that this is going to be a flex wrap, first of all, right? Because we want on a smaller screens for them to wrap over here like this. And then we're going to have this padding. We're going to say 60 pixels all around, right? So something like this. And then we're also, what we would want is actually align items, not center, like we just deleted. We're going to say align items, and we're going to say baseline, right? Because there's going to be difference. The button is going to be bigger and the text is going to be smaller. So we only want it actually to line up of where the text is, right? So then let's start styling over here. We have a filler, and we're going to have filler contact and heading 1, right? And what should happen is font size over here, we're going to say 30 pixels. Then we're going to have a text transform, and this is going to be to uppercase. Then we're going to have a color, and over here we're going to say this is going to be a hashtag of E0E, and then we're going to have 2db over here like this. And then the next one, we're going to have a button, right? So we're going to say a filler contact over here button. And then what we're going to say is this is going to be font size, and let's say this is going to be 30 pixels. Then we'll have a text transform. This is going to be also 30, right? I'm sorry, uppercase. Text transform uppercase. Then once we're done with uppercase, we would want a color, and again we're going to use hashtag E6A and F2E, right, over here like this. Then we're going to have a border over here like this, and we're going to say that this is going to be a 2 pixel over here, 2 pixel solid. And then we're going to have again the yellow one, right? So we can just grab this guy over here, copy and paste it over here like this, right? Then we're going to have a padding 10 pixels, and this is going to be 15 pixels, right? So 2 paddings over here like this, and the background is going to be transparent, right? So background, and we can just say that this is going to be transparent over here like this. Now what we would want to do is maybe create a little bit of margin. So we can write over here whether with a heading 1, right? So we can maybe say margin, and maybe say margin bottom, say like 20 pixels, right? Or let's say 10, right? Just a small margin in the bottom. And over here, what we would want the last is actually as we're hovering. So we go over here and we just copy this, copy, hover, right? And what should happen is background, right? And background is going to be yellow and the color is going to be black. So here we go with the yellow, copy, paste, and then color, hashtag 191716, right? So now we have this. Now everything is ready, set up, and we can go over here and check it out how it looks like, right? So let's go over here, and we obviously would need to change the image, right? So let's go back over here, and we would have a different image. This would be filler image, right? So let's go back over here. I'm just gonna write this is gonna be filler image. Right, let's save this and let's check it out, right? And you can see that it actually didn't find the filler image because probably it's JPEG, right? So we're here like this. We save this, and you can see that now we have the image, and you can see what this align items baseline does, right? So it's aligning where the text is, right? So it doesn't care that actual button is bigger, right? It's aligning where the text is, and you can see for centering we actually use the padding, right? So if the padding is 60 and 60 and line items baseline, right? So it's going to be exactly the same. And obviously, if we go to the smaller screen, right, the moment they start wrapping, right, they're going to look nice, right? They're not going to be jacked up. And this is going to be it for this video. And over here, we're ready for the next section. And the next section we're going to be building is going to be recent posts section, right? So over here, this is going to be very simple, right? We're just going to have an effect, right? That a font awesome search icon shows up, right? And we're just going to set up these like a cards, right? So over here, you can see this is going to be text and a button, right? So we're going to go back over here again, and we're going to go to index.html. And again, we're going to go all the way somewhere in the bottom. So this was the end of the filler section, right? And this is going to be a post section, right? So over here, we're going to say the comment posts section over here, and we're just going to copy and paste this, and we're going to say this is going to be the end of post section, right? So we scroll all the way over here, and we're going to say this is going to be section over here title, and we're going to say, well, sorry, this is going to be ID of posts over here like this. And what we're going to say, this is going to be title, right? So let's go ahead and again grab the title where it is. Well, let's find this, right? So title, and this is going to be recent posts, right? So we're just going to copy this guy, drag it all the way down here, copy this one, and we're going to say this is going to be recent posts over here like this, recent posts, right? So now that we have this, we will have a post container, right? So over here, I'm just going to say this is going to be div post container, right? And over here, we're going to have a post item, right? So here we're going to create a comment. We're going to say post, and this is going to be the end of the post, right? So over here, end of post, right? So now that we have this, we actually would want a post item, right? Over here, so I'm going to say this is going to be article with a class of post item, right? Now, once we have the actual article, we're actually going to have one more comment. We're going to say this is going to be actual card, right? So over here, we're going to write card, and here we're going to say this is going to be div with a class of image container. So this is going to hold everything, right? And over here within this div, we're going to place a image. And this is going to be image from, again, from current projects, right? So just tab, and we're going to say images, current projects. And again, in the beginning, they're going to be massive, but we already know by now how to actually fix them, right? So image, and this is going to be projects 1. And then within this image container, we're going to add something more. We're going to say this is going to be a link, right, over here with the dummy link, href over here like this. And this is going to be AI, FA, and search, right? So search icon over here, press tab. Now we're done with the container, right? Now over here, but we're gonna have a actual text container, right? So this is gonna be the second thing. So this is what's gonna be underneath the picture, right? So this is gonna be text container over here like this, and then we're gonna say this is gonna be heading 1, and this is gonna be angular post over here, and we're gonna press tab. Once we have a heading 1, then we're going to have a paragraph. So obviously we're going to write over here, and this is going to be paragraph. And let's say this is lorem 15, and let's say all the way in the back, this is going to be padding, right? And then we're going to have a link, right? So we're going to say a, and over here we're going to say read more, right? So we're going to have href read more, right? Now that we have this, we're actually ready to move on and add some more of them, right? So where's the post item? It's over here, and we need what? We need actually two more, right? So we need 3 total. So what I'm going to say is over here, if we grab this, I'm going to say 1, 2, right? And here we're just going to change obviously image, and then we'll say a text should be different too, right? So if this one, the first one was Angular post, let's say that this guy's number 2, this is going to be React post. I'm not going to be changing over here this, obviously, this text, right? This is going to stay the same. And over here, this is going to be JavaScript post, script post, right? So now that we are done with the HTML over here, and let's change this to 3, we're actually ready to go to CSS and start styling this posts. So let's go to main CSS over here, all the way in the bottom as always. Over here, we're just going to say this is going to be a posts, right? So here posts, and then we're going to create a lot of space, right? Because there's going to be quite a few rules. I'm warning you right away. And we're going to start over here with the most basic one, posts, right? So what we would want for the posts. And we're going to say that this is going to have a background, and the background is going to be hashtag BEB right here like this, and then it's going to be 7A4, right? Now that we have this padding, 20 pixels, then we're going to have a 0. This is going to be 80 pixels, and then we have 0, right? So we're going to set up the padding, and then we're going to have a post container, and over here we're going to say the max width over here, and we're going to say this is going to be 90 view, right? And then we're going to have a margin 0 auto, right? And again, we're just placing the actual whole container in the center, and then we're going to have a post item over here like this, and we're going to say this is going to be background color, and we're going to say this is going to be hashtag E0E, and then we're going to have 2db, right? So something like this, E0E and 2db, right? So then we go ahead and we say color, and the color is going to be hashtag 191716, right? 1716. This is going to be our color, and then over here we're going to say that this is going to be margin, and we're going to say 20 pixels, right? And 0, right? So that's going to be margin in between them, right? So now we're done with post item. Let's go to the actual post image. So over here, I'm going to say posts and image, right? So now we're just targeting the image, and we're going to say this is going to be width over here. I'm going to say 100% over here like this, and then we're going to say this is going to be display block, right? So now that we have this, we would want a image container, right? So we're going to go over here, we're going to say image container, and we're going to say that this is going to be position relative, right? And the background, and the background is going to be linear, and over here gradient, and again this is going to be RGBA, GBA 00007, and then it's again RGBA 00007, right? So maybe we can change it to 8. Maybe it's going to be a little bit darker. Maybe it looks nicer. So 08 and 08, right? So 2 of them over here. Now that we have this, we'd want a image container font awesome, right? So we go over here, class image container over here. We're going to say font awesome, and what we would want is position. We're going to say absolute, and then this is going to be left 50%, then it's going to be bottom or top 50%, top over here 50%. Then we're going to have a transform translate, and it's going to be negative 50%, and again negative 50%, right? So now that we have this, we would want a font size over here. We're going to say this is going to be 50 pixels, right? So it's going to be quite a big one, right? Then the color we're going to go again with yellow, so E6A and F2E, right? So now we have this. We would want a transition, and transition is going to be opacity, and over here we're going to say 4 seconds, right? And over here, the actual opacity, let's right away set it to 0, right? So it is hidden right now. We cannot see it, but obviously once we're going to be hovering, we're going to be able to, right? So obviously over here, where's the image container? We can set it over here right away. Copy and paste, and we can just say hover, right? And what should happen as we're hovering, we're going to say this is going to be opacity, and this is going to be 0.4 over here. And then for the actual image, right? So over here we're going to say image, and then the next one is going to be for the font awesome. So copy and paste. Over here we're going to go over here and we're going to say font awesome, and opacity is going to be 1, right? So 1 is actually going to be losing the opacity, right? The image, and the actual font awesome is actually going to be gaining, right? So if we go back over here, web agency, let's check it out, right? Now you can see that this one is actually losing opacity, right? And the font awesome is appearing. Now there's one issue, right? That right now those images are really big, right? So we're obviously going to need to go and work on that, right? So we're going to go ahead over here and we're going to say that this is going to be a text container, and we're just going to have a paddings, right? So we're going to go all the way over here in the bottom, and we're going to say this is going to be text container, right? And we're going to say this is going to be a paddings. We're going to say padding 10 pixels, then we're going to have 5 pixels, then we'll have 30 pixels, then we'll have 5 pixels, right? So we're going to have like this. Then we'll have a margin for a actual paragraph text container, and this is going to be for the paragraph. I'm going to say margin 15 pixels over here, 15 pixels. Then we're going to have a 0, and then we're going to have 25 pixels, then we'll have 0 again. So something like this. And then we're going to have a text container, and then we're going to have a link, right? And what should happen to the link? I'm going to say text decoration none. We don't want the underline. Then we would want a font size 20 pixels. Again, let's make a semicolon. Padding is going to be 5 pixels. Then we're going to have a border over here of 2 pixels, solid, and this needs to be yellow, so we're going to say E6A and F2E, F2E, right? So now that we have this, we would want a color also, and we're going to have the same one, right? So color, and we'll use the same yellow one. Over here, we're just going to grab this guy and copy, and over here, we're going to say paste, right? So now the color is changed, and we would want a margin here bottom 20 pixels, or here like this. So we just moved up a little bit, and then we would want as we're hovering, right? And that's going to be the last one before the media, right? Before we actually make it responsive. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to copy this and paste it over here, and we're going to say hover. And what should happen as we're hovering, we're going to change the colors, right? So I'm going to say background color, and this is going to be hashtag 191716, right? So the black one, and obviously the border color is going to be the same, right? So we're going to go over here, and we're going to say this is going to be border, right? Border color, and it's going to be the same, right? So let's check it out, right? So as you can see, as I'm hovering, this is how it's going to look. And then we have a media screen, right? That's going to be 2 last ones for the media screen. Over here, we're going to say that this is going to be media screen over here, and we're going to say and over here, well, this was a little bit too early, but we needed to say a min over here width, and then we're going to say 576 over here, and then we're going to close this one out, and then we're going to have a post over here container over here like this, and then we're going to say display grid. Then we're going to have a grid template columns over here, template columns, and then we're going to say this is going to be repeat right? And we're gonna have 2 and 1 fraction, right? So something like this. Then we're gonna have a grid column gap, grid column gap, or column gap, and over here we're gonna say this is gonna be 1 EM, and then grid row gap, grid row gap, right? So this is gonna be in between the rows. We're gonna say 1 EM, and what we would want to do is just copy this, and over here change this one to 992. I'm gonna go 992, and of course this is gonna be repeat, and this is gonna be 3. Right. And once we're done over here with our media screens, we just go back to our page, right? And we can refresh, and you can see that this is what we're gonna have, right? So this is gonna be 3 posts, the font awesome search over here, and if we try to make it smaller, right, then it's gonna be 2 of them, right? The same thing. And if we go to the smaller screen, this is gonna be 1 of them, right? And this is how we can get done with this section. And the last section we have left is actually a footer section. And the last section we're going to be creating is going to be this simple footer section, right? So let's go to our HTML over here, all the way in the bottom. We're just going to say this is going to be over here. We're going to say this is going to be a footer, right? And over here we're going to write our rules, right? So over here we're just going to say this is going to be footer, because we don't need to add any kind of divs anymore or IDs or anything like that. We're just going to say over here this is going to be footer text. Right now like this. Then within a footer text we're going to have a heading 3 with over here a copyright. Then we're going to have a copy over here like this, copy, not song or Kong, copy over here. And then we're going to have a 2017. Then we're going to have a dot over here. We're going to write all rights over here reserved, and then we're going to have a tab over here, and then we're going to have another div with a footer icons, right? So footer text, this is going to be footer icons over here, and what we're going to write over here, this is going to be a link, and this is going to also going to have a href, right? This is going to be hashtag, and here we're going to say this is going to be Facebook over here like this, and then we're going to press tab, and then we're going to copy this 3 times, right? So we're going to select it 1 2 3, and this is going to be Google plus, then this is going to be Instagram, and then this is going to be Twitter, right? So we're going back over here, Twitter, right? So now that we have this, we are going to go to main CSS and start styling, right? And over here for the footer, we're going to have 1 2 3 5 rules, right? So all the way again over here in the bottom, we can just create more space, and we can just say this is going to be footer over here, and we're going to say this is going to be footer, and then we're going to have a background color, and the background color is going to be hashtag 19 and 1716, and over here we're going to have a padding is going to be 20 pixels, right? And then we're going to have display and flex, right? And then we're going to have a flex wrap over here, wrap. We're going to say wrap, and then we're going to have a justify content, space between, over here like this, and then we're going to have a align items baseline, right? So align items baseline, right? Now obviously we cannot see anything right now because this is a really small screen, right? But as we go to the bigger one, you can see that everything is working, right? So again, we're going to have to create some more space, and then we're going to have a footer text, right? So over here we're going to say footer, we're going to say text, and this is going to be text transform, and over here we're going to say this is going to be uppercase. Then over here we're going to write this is going to be font size, and this is going to be 15 pixels. Then we're going to have a color, and the color is actually going to be E0E and 2dB, right over here. Then we'll have a margin bottom, over here margin bottom 10 pixels, right? Then once we have this, we're going to go to the footer icons. I'm going to say footer icons over here like this, and we're going to say font size, and this is going to be 30 pixels, right? 30 pixels, right? Then we're going to have footer icons FA, so footer icons FA, and we're going to say that this is going to be margin, right? And this is going to be 10 pixels. Then we're going to have a color, and the color is going to be E0E, right? And then we're going to have 2dB, and then over here we're going to say the transition is going to be transform, transition, transform, right? And once we have that, we're going to say 2 seconds, and then we're going to have a actual hover effect, right? So let's grab this guy, or let's grab this guy, copy this one and copy and paste, and we're going to say hover over here. And what we're going to say, this is going to be color, and the color is going to be hashtag. It's going to be E6A, and then it's going to be F2E over here like this. And then we're going to say transform, and we should be already familiar with this translate. We're going to say that this is going to be translate Y -15 pixels over here like this. Then once we save this, we can go back over here to our web agency, right? Refresh over here and refresh one more time. And now we can have our footer, right? And over here, you can see that something went wrong with our colors, right? So if we go back over here, we would just need to check it out. Where was the mistake, right? Because we have for footer icons, we have over here, but it's not actually changed in color over here. This is caption side, right? So obviously we want a color, right? So color, and now we save this, and now it should work, right? So if we go back over here, you can see that the icon is actually going to be going up and then going down. And this is going to be it for this project, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys are going to join me for our next project.